The most expensive part of having a leak in your house can be 100% the property damage that's involved. If that leak is inside your home, it can and will cause damage. Sometimes the leak can cause more water damage than it costs to fix the leak. That's why it's important to get the leak fixed as quickly as possible to prevent more property damage from occurring. Ways that you can tell a slab leak is happening under your home is if you're having a leak and you're not seeing any water show up anywhere. Also, if you don't see any leaks or water in your home. The other way that you can tell is if you have a slab leak is if there's just water appearing on the floor when there's no fixture above or below or around it. So the definition of a slab leak is when you have water supply pipes running through underneath the slab of your home and one of them begins to leak. That is considered a slab leak. Typically, a plumbing leak detection for the first 2 hours will cost around $1,200. Every hour after that will be $600. But lucky for you, we got a promotion going on where we're doing 50% off of the first 2 hours, and we're gonna credit the cost of the leak detection into the repair. There's multiple different ways that you can do a slab leak detection, but the way that we start is we want to isolate the system into a couple different parts so we can narrow down the area that we're looking for. After that, what we're going to do is we're going to start testing. So it just depends where that leak, where we're looking at is depending how we're testing that leak. If it's under the home and we decide it's on hot or cold side, we're going to start pressurizing the lines to determine which one is leaking. Non-invasive leak detection is there's a couple different ways that you can do it. Some use frequencies, some use acoustics. So the most popular one is the Goldack, and that's essentially a frequency. The Goldack uses sonar technology to locate water pipes below the ground. There's no special trick for leak detection. I mean, it just really comes down to having the right equipment and kind of knowing what you're doing when you're isolating and looking for that leak. The difference in a minor leak and a major leak can be a couple different things. The smaller leaks are harder to find, and the bigger leaks, they tend to show themselves more often. So if you have a bigger leak at the house, it's more common for you to know about it. If you have a smaller leak, it's easier to go undetected for a period of time. Sometimes when you have a spike in your water bill and you don't see any water going anywhere, that could be a couple different things. That could be your toilet running. Water doesn't always show itself whenever it leaks. Sometimes it just kind of mysteriously vanishes and we don't know where it is, but we gotta find it. Some leaks that can be hard to find are in some of these newer homes. When they install the drywall, they might put a nail through the pipe. But that leak may not show itself until that nail starts to rust away. I've run into that quite a bit recently. So there's a couple different types of leaks that you could have. You could have a leak on your sewer system, or you can have a leak on your water distribution system. One way to tell if you have a leak on either or is if your sewer line, or if your sewer, or if the leak only happens whenever you're using water, that could mean that it is on the sewer system. However, if the leak is consistent, constant, never ending, then more than likely you have a leak on the water distribution system. If you're having a leak at your house and you're not sure exactly if it's a big leak, small leak, or if you're just having a little water loss, one thing we can do is called a pressure drop test. And that's where we put a pressure gauge on the hose bib and we turn the water off and determine if you're losing pressure or not. If you're losing pressure, we can determine at that point that yes, you do have a leak somewhere and we will need to do leak detection to find it. The most common residential leak that you can have could be more than likely your toilet flapper failed, which is causing your toilet to slowly lose water and then have to refill. There's a lot of different things that can cause pinhole leaks in copper pipes. Improper installation, bad water quality, high water pressure. A multitude or a mixture of those things can cause pinhole leaks. A leaky toilet can in fact waste hundreds and hundreds of gallons of water. So it's important to get those things fixed in a timely manner. Signs that your water heater might be leaking is a wet spot in your ceiling, water dripping out of a drain pipe on the side of the house, or if your water is extremely hot, that could be one thing telling that you do have a leak somewhere. In Texas, slab leaks are specifically caused by ground movement and deterioration of the piping. Here in Texas, we go through a drought season and then a rainy season-ish in the spring. During the drought, during the dry season, the ground's gonna crack and recede, which is gonna cause everything to sink a little bit. Once we get all of that rain and all of that ground soaks back up that water, it's gonna cause that ground to move again. When that movement occurs on the drying and the wet part, it could cause you leaks anywhere in the ground. Risk of ignoring slab leaks are, many different things. You have, of course, water loss and a high bill, but also it can cause foundation problems. You're slowly washing away the ground that holds your house up. We fix a slab leak without tearing up any of the concrete in the home by running the piping through the walls of the house. So we abandon the pipe in the ground and we run it overhead in the ceiling and the walls of the house. You can do things to slow down the process, but you can't 100% prevent a slab leak. Keep the water pressure within a safe range. You can treat the water so there's not so much contaminants and bad things in the water, but you can't stop the ground from moving, so it's not gonna be a 100%, but you can slow down that process. If you find a leak that's causing damage, yes, turn your water off, please. Leak detection is something that you can do yourself, some of. You can check and make sure your toilets aren't running and stuff like that, and make sure you're not having any serious property damage from the leak. High water pressure can cause leaks. It is the #1 killer of your plumbing system. The reason being is because it's just the amount of water pressure, the amount of water that's trying to force its way out of each fitting, essentially. So the more water pressure you have, the more stress you have on your system. The more stress you have, the more likely you are to have a leak. It's important to treat your water in regards to leaks because calcium and hard water can definitely cause the pipe to deteriorate quicker over time, causing the leaks faster. The average leak detection goes between 2 and 4 hours. DIYs don't always work in the long term because typically you're doing the Band-Aid repair. And the Band-Aid repair typically is not a long-lasting fix.